So Made to Impact is the brand that we're teaching employers how to have an impact through their benefits. So it's a benefit platform. Why a benefit is because people understand what benefits are traditionally designed to do. Both employer and employee kind of get the way they function, and they're easy to talk about. What often gets missed is what they're designed for. And so what we teach is that benefits should help you maximize impact. First and foremost, impact to your bottom line and to your P&L, your balance sheet, and your enterprise value. And so we have benefits to find, attract, and keep talent. And there's all these value adds that we can drive to the company for doing that. The second thing they're supposed to do is have an impact on the actual human capital or the employee. That's why we do things like retirement plans or health benefits. And then the third thing we teach is that your employees are actually a subset of the community. And so if you want to have, maximum impact for your community, it's not about generating a profit and just giving it to the nonprofits to do the good work of nonprofits. It's your human capital is your greatest opportunity to have community impact. And so those are really one and the same. The problem we're solving is that there's this gap between traditional employer benefits that have been on the books. They're slow to adapt. They're traditionally 30 years dated as far as when they came to market, when they were adopted, and employee needs, which are evolving rapidly. And we'll jump into that. The question is what's your value proposition that you're creating in your contract to your people that's going to allow your benefits to be maximized? And when we look at this gap, we have typical benefits around perks, health insurance, healthcare, PTO, retirement plans, corporate social responsibility programs. And on the employee need side, we see a different picture. This is obviously a lot of advisors and brokers are becoming aware of this. We're coming to a tipping point where everyone's aware of it because it's coming out. This is why there was 45,000 families in the fourth wealthiest county in America struggling to pay their grocery bill. And it's cash flow is one of the first things. It's literally breaking even on the month is the upside of this demographic. It's roughly 30% of all American employees are in a cash flow negative position, going further into debt every month, allocating which bill to pay, and it's not pretty. On top of that, your average American has $400 in liquid savings in the bank. This is what Pitt, Ohio picked up on and was affecting the P&L. $400 is not enough cushion for any emergency of significance anywhere in the country. And so if you can't come up with that expense, you're going further into debt or you're literally liquidating assets. Debt is the third major concern. Your average American employee is paying 25% of their after-tax take-home pay to high-interest consumer debt payments and servicing. This does not include a mortgage or real estate. This is just credit cards, student loans, and consumer debt. There's little to no planning as it relates to financial planning in the workplace, and little to no purpose or impact as it relates to their job. The effects of this financial scarcity shows up all over in the form of costs, some hard, some soft. They vary by industry, but it affects revenue, safety, healthcare, recruiting, turnover, engagement, and many more. And so all we want to do is create a better benefit platform that fills in some of those gaps for the companies that we're teaching, a more modern way of looking at people and human capital. It all starts with the person. So we call this a human-centered benefit. We're truly looking at solving the actual problems of the employees. It has to be results-oriented. We have to be driving results to the P&L, to the person, and to the community. And if you do that, it's about success and significance. It's not, I generate a profit to give to the good nonprofits doing the work. It's, I'm having profound impact as part, ingrained, intertwined in my own actual business model. When we started researching this, I actually hired a team of 4 people full-time for 8 weeks to just do market research on finding companies that were investing uniquely in a problem that their employees had, doing it as a benefit and driving results both to the bottom line and to the community. And we found a bunch of them. I have a few case studies in here. But when we laid them on the table, sure enough, they mapped up. I didn't know this was going to happen, but they mapped up Maslow's hierarchy of human need all the way from survival to purpose. and they're solving things that matter to people. And the highest return on investment of any benefit is going to be solving a problem of the greatest felt need. And Maslow's hierarchy is a great guide to this, right? So if you're in survival, which we've said 30% of employees are, they're in a survival mode, paycheck to paycheck's the good scenario. They're beyond that. They're negative cash flow. Basic needs being met is the highest return on investment as far as how we can help them. The second is what Maslow called safety or security. This is directly tied to emergency savings. And so think about it. You can't have a sense of security if you literally only have $400 liquid to your name. And at any given moment, a flat tire on the wrong side of town is going to cost more than that on the way to work. And so this is roughly 80% of all employees are in first two levels of Maslow's hierarchy, and we haven't even gotten to debt. Right? And so now we talk about a sense of belonging is the technical term, and there's things we do to instill belonging as it relates to giving within a company. But from a financial planning standpoint, if you're paying 25% of your income to some financial decision you made in the past, there's no way that you will be in a position to actually retire with dignity. And this is where the conversation starts in most employer relationships. This is where your retirement advisor starts the conversation around, you've got this retirement plan that your employer is sponsoring you to participate in, and there's a match and it's free money. And if you don't take advantage of that free money, frankly, you're not very smart financially. What we've glossed over is the fact that if you've got negative cash flow, $400 to your name and up to your eyeballs in consumer debt, it is not your best financial strategy to be, taking advantage of your 401k. It's not terrible to be getting that match, but there's a lot higher priority things that you need to be taking care of. And quite frankly, the employer needs to be addressing, and the advisors need to be addressing with you. That's just not happening. Finally, Maslow talked about self-actualization, or this is where purpose, impact, Simon Sinek's Start with Why kicks in here. So we took that as a framework. My product development teams then started going to work in architecting a single benefit platform that requires enrollment of an employee, no different than a health benefit or a retirement benefit, that was specifically designed to address the basic needs of each employee at the moment, the given time. And it was really easy to do at this point after that research. And so the first thing we did is we found examples of companies or products solving for cash flow. And so, for 30% of our people, if we're not solving for cash flow, they're not going to be with us long. They just aren't. And if they are showing up, they're not engaged. And so two products we came up with. One is what's called Income Advance. We found this through a corporation in Vermont, an ice cream manufacturer called Rhino Foods, and they were doing this extremely successfully. We have a case study in the deck that we can show. That is a guaranteed $2,000 advance on income directed to a savings account or a checking account of choice that is guaranteed to all employees of the company, regardless of underwriting or credit scores. And that is a huge hurdle to overcoming some of these big roadblocks that are crushing people in that given time period. The second is what we do is called earned wage access, and this is just a timing thing. Really, a lot of the fees that get assessed for late fees and all of these penalties are around the timing of pay, not the actual amount of pay. And so we can bridge cash flow by simply unlocking people's earned income. So if I've got a 2-week pay cycle, I've worked 8 or 9 days or a week of that, I've contractually earned money. It's just trapped and locked in that system. I can access that. If I can access that, I can solve my problem, because my problem is about the timing of my bill, not the amount of money that I have typically. And so we just give employees seamless access to earned income, and it's not a loan. It's income with flexible timing. 30% of people need that. In fact, to the dot, we enrolled our employees in this program. We had 80% of them enroll in the first 30 days, and 30% on the dot took advantage of these early products because of the cash flow being an issue. If cash flow is not your issue, or if you graduate to a positive cash flow and you can finally save, the next step is funding an emergency account. This is exactly what Pitt, Ohio did. The trucking company, that's one of our examples. And we as a company incentivize our employees to save for today. And it's really interesting to have conversations with business owners of, why do you incentivize a retirement plan, but you don't incentivize a rainy day fund? And it's not a trick question. We incentivize things because we know it's good behavior and we want it to happen, but that behavior is definitely not going to be maximized unless you do these other things that are equally, if not more important, based on the individual's financial plan. And so we just help employees save for unplanned emergencies. It's that simple. The third thing we've architected is what a lot of companies do already, a benevolence fund. This is a way of doing charity through the needs of your own people. It's a great idea, except it has to be done with the larger behavior modification in mind. Otherwise, it becomes charity. It becomes just assistance. It could even be called or considered welfare type of assistance, where if we're not changing the behavior and we're just giving people fish instead of teaching them the fish, right, we haven't really fixed the problem. And so by combining a benevolence fund, which really requires the person to have skin in the game, to be participating, to be doing a payroll deduction into these accounts, and to be trying to proving that they're making progress, then allows us to really step in and remove a roadblock. And it could be 2 months of a car payment that's late. It could be, a medical bill that's about ready to go into bankruptcy court. And we, by simply doing a small charitable contribution with dignity, it's completely anonymous, all those details, we can escalate progress quickly, get that quick win. It's a great form of impact by the company, but we get people, more importantly, moving in the right direction. The whole left side of this product matrix is about getting people with a fully funded emergency account. We are currently within 2 months of deployment at Red Rocks, have 30% of our employees achieving that milestone with a fully funded emergency account, which is really exciting for us. As soon as that's done, we move over to debt elimination. There's no way you're going to get ahead in life at all whatsoever if you're paying that much money in the form of debt servicing payments and interest. And so it's the best in savings you're ever going to do is to pay off your debt. You're never going to get a 30% return in the market, but you're guaranteed a 30% return on paying down your credit card. So why would we not incentivize that? Well, the answer is we should and we can. And so employers are doing this where we actually give incentives to our employees for eliminating and keeping their consumer debt out of the picture. This is what frees us up to fully fund a retirement account. This is where you can save 3 to 6 months worth of liquid savings. You could start maximizing your 401k, your 529 plan. But really, it's what frees up the amount of cash flow that makes that a reality. And this is why advisors love what we're doing. Is it actually puts people in a position to be in a trajectory to make that even a reality. The final thing we do, which is the top of the hierarchy, but it doesn't need to start at the top. It actually starts from day one. Is we've architected what we call impact accounts. Technically, they're donor advised funds for each of our employees. All of these products, by the way, show up with a single login and a single statement in an online banking fintech. And so they see their income advance, their emergency fund, their benevolence, their debt, their long-term savings, and their impact accounts. An impact account allows us to get really creative with how we give back to our people. We can incentivize their giving. Once money goes in, whoever gave the money gets the tax deduction, and then it has to be re-given to a approved 501c3. But we can give our corporate charitable dollars to our people to decide, like who are we at corporate to decide what matters or what doesn't matter. So instead, we allow our people to give our charitable contributions. We can match our people's giving, and we can actually do inter-office kind of GoFundMe type campaigns anonymously, where you still get a tax deduction for helping another employee overcome one of their roadblocks, and that's ultimately what creates the sense of belonging, impact, and purpose at work. So the case studies that we found, I've got 3 of them here, kind of some highlights. Rhino Foods was the ice cream manufacturer in Vermont. They create the little goodies that go in your Ben & Jerry's, the cookie dough and the brownie bits. They had 100 employees that they kept realizing were struggling badly with cash flow, cost of living, and payday loan vendors, which were charging people up to 500% interest for an income advance. So they thought, and it really wasn't an income advance, right? It's just a predatory loan. And so they decided they were going to do something about it. The CEO stepped up, filled the gap, partnered with a credit union and came up with this idea of income advance. It's the $2,000 guaranteed loan that I already mentioned. They saw 34% participation. They issued 379 loans and saw an increase in their retention because of that one thing related to solving for cash flow. Pitt, Ohio is the trucking company out of Pittsburgh. They noticed a safety-related issue in the P&L related to their truckers not being able to overcome, an average emergency expense. They decided to do something about it, so they incentivized the rainy day fund. They saw 44% participation, and in 12 months, $1.7 million contributed to a local credit union for their people's rainy day funds, which also dramatically affected the turnover. And then Polydex Screens is a mining equipment manufacturer out of South Carolina. Their CEO was taking their teams out into the community to do paid community service projects on a quarterly basis. It was a great idea. A lot of companies do this type of thing, except they were fixing homes, painting fences, working on cars, and heard through HR that a lot of people were feeling unheard and seeing themselves because their homes, fences, and cars were in worse shape than what they were spending their resources on. And they approached the CEO and said, if you say that your employees are your greatest asset, but you don't do anything about the situation that we're in, doesn't that make you a hypocrite in a way? And he flipped that model to creating benevolent internal in-reach is what they called it instead of outreach. And they started solving the actual roadblocks of their people, which created really amazing results with benevolence. So all we're doing is we're not inventing any of this. None of this is new. It's all happening right now around the country. We're simply building the fintech benefit platform that automates this all through a single payroll contribution or deduction, relieves all the burden of this off from the HR and the leadership team of the companies that want to deploy something similar. So we identify the gaps, we install the platform, and we start measuring progress to P&L, impact, and community. Our guarantee to the companies we work with is that it's easy. We don't ask for any work to be done by HR. We just require census data that we can even automate out of the payroll system. We guarantee results in the first 30 days, and we guarantee that it's going to get better every month because we become the ongoing startup that is testing and scouring the planet for innovative ways to maximize the impact. And we test things, and those that work make it through to the end user. Ultimately, we help our clients avoid failure to maximize profitability. I mean, as a public company, that's actually a requirement legally to your shareholders. And the fact of the matter is that a lot of companies are overlooking their true greatest asset. They'll say that in marketing and HR material, but they're not investing. They're not putting their investment where they're speaking, and that's actually holding them back from performance in the P&L that they truly have right beneath their nose. The second one is failure to meet your actual employees' needs. A lot of companies are very charitable, and that's great. But if you're giving millions of dollars a year to charity for solving problems like poverty, hunger, children, homelessness, and you fail to realize that a large percentage of your own employees are the very demographic of who those nonprofits are looking to serve, you've missed the greatest opportunity that you have, which is to actually step up and meet the needs of your own employees. And then finally, to leave a legacy in the community, and that's important to everyone. So ultimately, we deliver results that matter, both to the business and the bottom line, and to the community through how we can invest in human capital. And so that's what we're doing.